everyone, and welcome to part 5. In this section, what we've done is we've gotten final approval to move forward from the team with our character and the direction we're going. And at this point, I'm going to hand it back over to Dave, and he's going to moving towards the final refinement of our character here. Go ahead, Dave.
Okay, hopefully we'll be able to talk a little bit about some of the features in Sketchbook Designer as well. One of the things that we decided we needed to do was change that head, the one that was bothering me. So let's change some of that. So I'm just going to zoom in here, make my canvas a little bit bigger, because to do the final image I also want to make this a lot larger. But let's just change this head. So there's some wonderful warping tools in Sketchbook Designer, and here you can basically tweak any of the edges and add handles to change the shape of things. So we're going to change the body a little bit, change the stance, and try to get this guy to look a little bit more like the way I want. There, it's kind of getting there. And I'm just simply selecting that base model, or that base sketch that we did, and changing him. I'm scaling him up, so now he's a fairly large image that we can get some really nice detail in when we use the pencils. And so now he's got a little bit more of a, it's still a sympathetic character, but now he's a little more rascally. Perhaps a little more like Han Solo, hopefully. And try to get some of that out of him. Alright, so playing with the hair, get all the pencil lines back on him. And I'm only going to do this for the face because what I want to do is begin to use the curve tools, which we have not used previous to now. You can see some of the power. You can use these to create silhouettes. You can use these. There's wonderful tools. So I'll show you a couple of the different ways I use in drawing these. Lots of times just the straight polyline is wonderful, simply because the tools to round are so strong and so powerful. There's a fillet tool which allows you to kind of change the shape of each of these poly edges and blend between them. So come back in here and kind of round off the ones we want to. And I like using polylines because it gives me some really strong, sturdy lines. Then I've got strong arcs and strong straight lines, which are a wonderful way to go about a design. I'm freehanding them right now. It's still using curves, but it's a wonderful way to get a lot of drawing in quick. So once I get this silhouette down, I'll be ready to kind of move forward and clean it up. You need to play with some of the tools in the middle here. There's some wonderful ways to clean up curves. Throw away the edges by simply selecting the edges that fall off, and you can just throw them right away without any trouble. I check occasionally to make sure that things will fill with the fill bucket, simply because sometimes with a lot of curves it confuses the model and you want to make sure that it's still working. You might need to throw away and do this in separate layers. So occasionally it's nice to do a couple of these designs on a different layer. Like I will end up doing the boots and things on another layer to keep it as simple as possible. I also occasionally will duplicate the layer just so that I've got something that I know is working with the fill tool. We could do the whole illustration more simply with these curves, like I might do if I was using Adobe Illustrator, but I find that a bit frustrating and limiting. And so I like to use these tools to basically get masks. So after I've drawn out all these curves, we're going to begin to create masks for painting.
So what you're saying basically, Dave, is you don't necessarily use these and use fills. You use these as masks and still use traditional paint methods that you've done and just use to mask to paint those areas so you have more control over what you're getting. Exactly.
So I'm filling this in with basic colors here, and I am also doing this on a separate layer. As you can see, I've duplicated this layer, and interesting. And what I'm doing is I'm going to fill it all in so that I can go ahead and create paint bucket drops, or paint fills that I can turn into masks.
And then again add another layer and even paint just using those as masked areas.
Exactly.
Very cool.
And that's about it for right now. We'll move on to painting in a minute.
Alright, so we're going to finish refining this character towards our final rendering in the next video. We look forward to seeing you all back in that one.